All right. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Dr. Kitiana Lowe, and I'm the Director of Administration here at Webeck ORV. And we are excited to have all of you join us for our Doing Business series this morning. This morning we are joined with Jilson Daniels, who is from the Port, and he's going to share with you about how to do business with the Port of Cincinnati. So just to go a little bit, share a little bit of information about Jilson. He is, hold on, we've got one more person. Let me go ahead and get them in here. Jilson is a business and economic development professional with a background in finance and accounting. He is presently the Senior VP of Economic Equity at the Port of Greater Cincinnati Development Authority. In this role, Jilson manages the economic equity strategy for all business lines of the port. He is also our treasurer of Webeck ORV, so we're excited for all the work that he does for us here and his commitment to our organization. And he is also the treasurer for OMSDC. And so without further ado, Jilson, I will pass it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Lowe. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to see all of you online and glad that you're interested in learning more about the port and how to do work with us. Dr. Lowe, are you loading the presentation or should I?
This setup won't allow me to make you co-host. Do you see the option to share your screen? If not, I can share mine.
I do.
Okay, then perfect. Then you can.
Okay. All right, just give me one moment and I'll put up presentation. We'll walk through it. Since we have a small group this morning, I encourage anyone, if you have any questions while I'm presenting, stick your hand up or feel free to, just ask me the question. Make sure, there we go. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. All right. Hopefully everyone can see the title screen here, Doing Business with the Port.
Yes, it's not in presentation mode if you intended for it to be.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Perfect.
All right. Get rid of that. Okay, so we'll start. I always like when I talk about the work that we do here at the port, just to give the boring narrative about what we do and who we are, and why we do the work that we do. The port is actually our short name, our DBA. Our official name is the Port of Greater Cincinnati Development Authority. A lot of people are familiar with port authorities around the country as maritime organizations and transportation management organizations. We are neither. Even though Cincinnati sits on the banks of the Ohio River, we do not manage any water traffic or anything on that has to do with the traffic that runs up and down the Ohio River. We are a real estate development organization, a public agency, a quasi-government entity formed in partnership by the city of Cincinnati and Hamilton County, Ohio. Our primary mission is to make sure that all acres, or as much acres that we control for the city and the county, is developed into its highest and best use. We also partner with other economic development organizations. When I say other, we consider ourselves not only a real estate developer, but an economic development organization. And we partner with other economic development organizations, municipalities throughout Hamilton County, and private foundations to ensure that every acre of local real estate is developed into its highest and best use. A lot of the work we do is based on properties that we directly own, either through the Hamilton County Land Bank or land that is put into trust for us for future redevelopment. And oftentimes, those types of properties might be a high rise that's been vacated and blighted in like downtown, and the city or the county will acquire control of that site or actual ownership of that site, and they will deed it over to the port for us to hold on to it until a decision is made on what to do with that asset, whether to demolish it, redevelop it, or renovate it. A perfect example of that is in downtown Cincinnati. Just 2 years ago, there was the Millennium Hotel. If any of you have ever been to Cincinnati, you probably have either been in it or stayed in it. Eventually, that hotel became dated, and it was sold to a private owner, and then it was pretty much not taken care of very well. And so the county was able to obtain control from that private developer. And we decided that in order to stimulate activity in the downtown area, in what we call the convention center district, that hotel needed to be replaced. And so we were responsible for demolishing the hotel, but we are actually not responsible for the redevelopment of the site. We have a partner organization or a sister organization called 3CDC, which manages the primary redevelopment of properties in downtown Cincinnati. We also have a manufacturing and residential focus on our work. And what we do with that, again, in collaboration with the Hamilton County Land Bank, we will oftentimes in neighborhoods and neighborhood business districts stimulate economic activity, development activity, in order to create jobs and also just overall economic prosperity in certain neighborhoods, what we call focused neighborhoods here in Hamilton County, Ohio. All right. So this is a snapshot of really our three primary focus areas. We have an industrial revitalization strategy. That's where we look at throughout the county if there are sites that can create multiple jobs, multiple high-paying jobs, then we will be the developer for that site. We'll obtain control of it, and that's where contracting opportunities come into play. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those as I go on. But our intent is to take, for example, an old manufacturing site that might have been mothballed by the company that once had multiple jobs, usually 50 or 60 or more jobs on that site, and figure out a redevelopment plan, identify either a replacement company, and our focus right now is on advanced manufacturing that can bring in those high-paying jobs, and we will assist in the site preparation so that company can come in and do vertical construction to build the facilities that it needs in order to manufacture the product and provide the service that it eventually sells. As far as our neighborhood revitalization, that is making sites available for multifamily, mixed use, and single family homes. The work that we do is primarily focused on single family homes. So a lot of our procurement opportunities are in just that, the building of the house. And in some cases where we own homes that we haven't built, but we own them, and perhaps at the moment for a very short period of time are leasing them out, we'll do upgrades to those homes to make sure that they are maintained at least at market value. Also, within our neighborhood revitalization strategy, we'll own vacant lots and we'll acquire vacant homes, shells, through the Hamilton County Land Bank, and we'll make those properties available for sale to private developers to come in and either build a new home or renovate the existing home, the structure that is on that on that parcel of residential land. And then the last piece of work that we do is in public finance. We are a public finance agency that provides public finance resources to developers, primarily real estate developers, to help them complete their projects. And those types of public finance tools, for examples, are tax incremental financing, sales tax exemptions. We'll do capital leases. All those are intended to provide what we call gap funding and incentive funding in order to promote the development of a particular real estate site. All right, as far as equity and contracting, we're very aggressive in our contracting inclusion goals. We have aspirational goals, and I'll explain that in just a moment, what that means. 25% spend with minority business enterprises, 7% with women business enterprises, and 30% with small business enterprises. Now, when I say aspirational, we cannot have what some people think of as set aside work because we are a government entity, and that is prohibited by Ohio law. But what we can do is say, this is the standard that we expect when you want to do work for the port as a contractor or as a developer. We expect you to use best efforts to include 25% of your supply chain with minorities, 7% of your supply chain with women-owned businesses, and 30% of your supply chain with small business enterprises. And we define a small business enterprise as any entity that is eligible to obtain procurement work with the federal government. And I'll share with you some of our most recent outcomes as of the year in 2023. So this is kind of a snapshot of the two pieces of the two areas where we mostly see contracting opportunities with the port. You can buy a port-owned, a land bank owned, or another entity that we manage, which is the Homesteading Urban Redevelopment Corporation. All three of those entities either own real estate sites or have parcels that are ready for someone to do a vertical construction on. And I will add, because and it isn't in this slide because it's fairly new information, we just assumed interim control of the Uptown Consortium in Uptown Cincinnati, which is around the University of Cincinnati and the corridor, the neighborhoods that include Clifton, Avondale, Corryville, and Mount Auburn. And if you've ever gone up Interstate I-71 north or south, you'll recognize the new Martin Luther King interchange off of the expressway. That corridor headed towards the University of Cincinnati and the hospitals. That is the new region, which now falls up under the management of the port through the Uptown Consortium. And then other opportunities that we might have with properties in our portfolios, we'll issue a request for a proposal or even a request for a quote for contracting opportunities for things like home renovations, site remediation, surveys, interior demolition, or the actual demolition of a structure, which could be a hotel, a high-rise, or a single-family residence. All right. So here's what we buy. I broke this down into 4 categories. And then I have a couple of pictures so you can kind of get an idea of what it is that we do. But I have other photos on a subsequent slide. Construction trade services, we'll do that as a developer ourselves, or we encourage private developers through the public finance tools that we provide to hire contractors. And the type of contracting work that we either provide or go out for bid for, or the private developers go out to bid for, our demolition. We look for home builders. We look for site assessment and remediation, site developers, and home renovations. Those are some of the primary things. There's obviously other things associated with that, but I would say those are the biggest scopes within the types of work that we typically look for construction trade services. Professional services, as a real estate developer, we actually don't build anything as an entity ourselves. Like, we don't have staff that goes out with hammers and drills and jackhammers. We outsource everything that we do. And so the types of services that we outsource, we look for architects especially for sites that we're going to build. We look for engineers, whether they're civil engineers, landscape engineers, or other engineers. We always need surveyors, legal professionals. We have properties that, and you have to draw up the real estate commercial the real estate commercial contracts and file deeds. And oftentimes we have to take some of the buyers of our properties to court, because we redevelop properties using a lot of subsidy dollars that we get from either the city or the county or the state of Ohio, or even the federal government, in order to do site remediation or demolition work or other type of site work in order to get that property ready for redevelopment. And we'll sell it to a potential developer at a significant discount, because we have those subsidy dollars from the different organizations in order to prep that site. For example, if you look at the photo of that brownfield, and what the term brownfield means is we've made it ready for somebody to come in and start the construction of buildings and to lay in the underground utilities in order to start the vertical construction of buildings. And then, of course, like with any other organization, we buy goods and services for administrative purposes. Those could be office supplies, marketing goods, caterers, office equipment and technology, just to name a few. And then lately, a lot of the things that we've been buying is for single family homes. In 2022, we acquired 200 single family homes that were owned by an investor that rented them out. And the homes we purchased, the investor was a nationwide investor, and we were able to buy his properties in receivership, bankruptcy receivership, that were here in Hamilton County. And now we're in the process of doing home repairs and upgrades to those properties, because in many cases, of the 200, I think about 80% of them had a significant amount of deferred maintenance. And so we've had to go in and do things like upgrade or purchase new appliances, install new flooring, replace kitchen and bath fixtures, if not replacing an entire kitchen or bathroom, replace light fixtures, do other type of interior equipment replacement, repair or replace roofs, and do a lot of exterior upgrades and repairs, which would include things like siding, gutters, and even landscaping and concrete repair and deck repair, anything you can think of for an aging home. So that's a real quick snapshot of the types of things that we buy, mostly from outsourcing to private contractors. All right, this is the fun part. These are some snapshots of some of our work on single family homes. As you can see, we'll do anything. We do a lot of staging, but a lot of people are surprised at the finished product for a home that we complete, because we just don't finish the house in a basic way. Our intent is to upgrade a home or build a home first and foremost at market rate in order to stimulate private investors to come in and follow us and either do market rate homes, workforce homes, or affordable homes. And what we do when we sell market rate homes is we'll take the profit from that and reinvest it, let's say, in a workforce or affordable housing project in the same neighborhood. So these photos kind of demonstrate some of the interior and exterior types of residential projects that we've done around the county, particularly in the neighborhoods of Evanston, Walnut Hills, Lincoln Heights, and the West End. All right, so I will tell everyone that we have a decentralized procurement process because of the type of organization that we are. We have several project managers that are responsible for either industrial work or neighborhood work. But pretty much the project manager is responsible for identifying the needs of whatever project it is and actually creating that procurement process with economic equity in mind. They're always aware of the goals that I demonstrated early, the 25% MBE goal, 7% with women-owned businesses, and 30% with small business enterprises. We do encourage the project managers to not only just solicit the bids and then, of course, award them to not just the lowest bidder, but the bidder who we believe has the best plan to in order to get that site or that property developed. For example, there is a project that we have in Camp Washington. It's an industrial project, and we have to do some interior demolition to an old manufacturing facility. The winning bidder in that case was not the lowest bidder. The winning bidder was in the middle range, and we actually went back to that contractor and asked them to increase their bid because they were so much lower than the highest bidder, so that they could have more economic inclusion. So we'll do that in cases where we'll have, let's say, grant funds from either the federal government or the state government. And when we go out to bid, if the bid comes in lower than that and we still have money to spend, first and foremost, we'll try to make sure that that excess is available for inclusion, to meet our inclusion goals. All right. This is a snapshot of our spend as of calendar year in 2023. Now, it's broken into two sections. The first section is what our external developers do from the benefit of receiving the public finance tools that we provide. So we have no control over the contracting, but we have influence over the contracting. So these developers, and look, if you see the amount of the dollars, their total spend over a rolling 3-year period is $2.6 billion of procurement opportunities. And we asked all of the developers, I think there's probably 30 projects that make up this 2.6 billion. We challenged them to achieve our inclusion goals of 25% MBE, 7% WBEs, and 30% SBEs. And so what you see here, at the end of calendar year, at the end of 2023, they were able to achieve towards that 25% goal, 13.2% with minorities, 19.3% with women, and 21.3% with small business enterprises. So that's pretty significant. I don't have the three numbers added together, but just eyeballing it, that's about $1.4 billion in economic inclusion spend on real estate development here in the Cincinnati region, out of $2.6 billion of total development. So they always do well with the women. Whenever I meet with these developers and talk about how to find contractors, I brag about WeBec ORV and tell them that there's no excuse to come in at under 7%. And as you can see here, in 2023, it was nearly three times of what that goal is.
Jilson, I'm actually curious about that because, women being at 7%, why has that not been increased? Because we also know when we look at the economy, women are actually the fastest growing when it comes to entrepreneurship. Yeah,
that's a great question. We set the goals based on experience and disparity. And the historic disparity for women-owned businesses did not support more than a 7% inclusion goal. But again, even though we set the 7% that we set is always the floor, and our private developers have always far exceeded that number. We have a higher goal with minorities, for example, at 25%, because the disparity in minority contracts historically has always been the highest of all inclusion groups in the Cincinnati region. And you can see here with the actual data, we set the floor at 25%, and our developers are only able to achieve, on average, 13%. And that 13% that you see there for minorities is actually declining. 3 years ago, it was floating around 17%.
Where's the disparity information coming from? Because I do know that the state of Ohio is planning to do a disparity study. Do we draw it from the state? Where's this coming from?
Yeah, we draw it from our experience as a quasi-government entity.
Got it.
Yep. The city of Cincinnati, for example, they have to do their own disparity study in order to set their inclusion goals. Well, you'll see on the next slide how our inclusion goals compare to the city, the county, and some other organizations as well. And then on the bottom half of this sheet, you'll see what we call our internal controllable spend. And those are projects that the port actually sources directly for the work that we do with our managed entities. And beginning in 2025, we'll add our newest managed entity to this chart, which is the Uptown Consortium. So you can even see here, and this is exclusively 2023 spend. We had $13.4 million of total spend on various real estate projects, and all of the other things that we buy. We were able to do 26.7% with minorities, 28.2% with women, and 28.7% with small business enterprises. So we're very proud of that, of those amounts, and we've come a long way, I'd say, in the last 3 or 4 years. The care home renovations, that line item is the 200 homes that we purchased in 2022. Again, home ownership, a rental property portfolio is something the port has never done. And I'm not certain that there are any other ports in the state of Ohio that actually own and rent out single-family homes. It is not our intent to do this on a long-term basis. Our intent is to rehab all of the homes that are in that portfolio and sell them first to those who are renting and to first-time home buyers. But we've established a lot of great partnerships with community organizations in order to, one, renovate the homes and also to help us find a pipeline of potential home buyers. All right. So this is the slide that demonstrates how we compare in terms of our goals to the city of Cincinnati, Hamilton County, the Convention Center Hotel development, which is being managed by 3CDC, and the Brent Spence Bridge project, which is the interstate bridge going over the new interstate bridge that is going over the Ohio River. Yeah, with the city of Cincinnati, you know, their WBE goal is 7%. And again, they base that off of a Corson study. Hamilton County, the same, 8.9%. That 8.9% they have of women-owned businesses, and really minorities and minority-owned businesses. The way they look at it is, this is how much we spent in a given in a 3-year period. I think that's what they cover. And this is how many minorities and women bid on those opportunities, and this is how many were successful. And that's how they come up with their percentages. All right. And I can tell you that 3CDC modeled their inclusion goals based on ours, and they do report back to us as far as their results. And right now they're doing fantastic on all of their goals. Brent Spence Bridge, that's based on federal guidelines, but as you can see, you know, I think that project is probably something like $4 billion. They have one goal. What a lot of people don't realize is the Brent Spence Bridge is actually owned by the state of Kentucky. And the state of Kentucky does not have minority or women goals. They have disadvantaged business goals. So if you are a minority or a woman in the state of Kentucky, you fall under their DBE goals. And for that bridge project, in total, they're looking to get 7% inclusion. All right. I'm nearing the end of the presentation, and I'll open it up to any questions or comments. These are some of the business development organizations within the ecosystem here in Cincinnati that we work with on a regular basis to try to build capacity in the 3 categories: minority, women, and small business enterprises. You'll learn more in the future about a minority business enterprise utilization study that we did where we came up with some recommendations to try to reverse that downward trend in MBE inclusion that I explained a couple of slides ago. But all of these organizations do well in terms of partnering and advising and letting us know who the highest and best contractors are to do work on individual real estate projects for us. All right, a lot of this other stuff, I think Dr. Lowe is going to provide you with a copy of this presentation. I won't go through any of the other slides unless you want me to. It digs a little bit deeper into some of the detailed work that we do, but I included it in the slide to hopefully help give you a little bit better perspective of the overall body of work of the port. So I'll stop there and open the floor for any questions or even feedback. I know it's a small group. Don't be
Well,
shy.
in terms of your systems and processes, so when you do have a bid, and let's just say it's not awarded, I'll just give myself as an example. So let's just say you had a bid, I was not awarded the contract. However, do you have like a debrief available, made available? So I understand, how maybe the next time I can improve and things like that.
Yes, I always encourage the project managers to reach back out to every bidder that wasn't successful and let them know either how close they were or if there was significant improvement, what they need to do differently in order to put themselves in a more competitive position to win the work that we put out. I'll give an example. We had a demolition contractor on the project that I told you on the industrial building where we're doing the interior demolition. The third place contractor was a MBE, and actually the highest bidder was a WBE. And we had conversations with both of them as to why they were not selected. The lowest bidder wasn't selected because their bid was too low. Then the highest bidder wasn't selected for just that reason. Their bid was too high. But one thing that we did see with the top three bidders was a huge disparity in the different types of categories of where they, like their scopes of work. Like there was a lot of asbestos in the building. The lowest bidder didn't have a line item for asbestos removal. So that was a red flag, right? We kind of had to guess that they just didn't know how to do that type of demolition work. So that kind of ruled them out. The highest bidder also did not have a line item for asbestos, but when we had our debrief with them, they said, oh yeah, it's baked into this other category, right? And so when we had them break it out, we still couldn't justify the price difference between the company that we eventually awarded the work to.
Jolson, is there a portal and a way of learning about the RFPs as they come out?
That's a
Okay.
great question. We're working on a portal. It probably won't be as robust as what you'll see with a larger company or larger organization, but it will be at least a way for you to see what we have available now and to do an inquiry. But it really is for us as a government entity, unfortunately, very old school. I will publish the opportunities on our website or even on social media. And one of the things, though, that I think we do better than most is once we publicize an opportunity, we will host either virtually or in person what I like to call outreach sessions, where we'll invite the public in, which means anybody that's interested in bidding or just learning about the project, to give them an overview of the project, have them meet our team, and actually walk through them step by step how to successfully bid on the project. Like here's when the bids are due. This is when we're going to evaluate the bids. This is when we're going to award them. And this is when the start of work. And in many cases, because they're real estate projects, we'll even have a step before that to allow people to do a walkthrough of the site in which they're going to be bidding on the work.
Well, I do have another question. I was just trying to be silent just in case somebody else wanted to
Sure.
jump in. But I actually have two questions. So the first one, which would pertain to me, looking at your presentation, it looks like, for my company, because we do promotional products, we fall under, of course, the marketing umbrella, but you're administrative. So with that said, obviously, anything with construction, you guys are turning and burning, there's going to be plenty of opportunities. How often do opportunities come up for my industry?
Yeah, for our organization, not very much. We do buy promotional items, but at very small volumes. And the only time we really give away promotional items are if we happen to do trade shows or set up an informational table at like Hamilton County Small Business Day or the city of Cincinnati's, I think they call it their Business Expo, or even with, in some cases, with WeBack ORV or OMSDC, if there is a business opportunity exchange, we'll host a table there. But the volume is not very high. But I still encourage you to submit your capability statement, and our marketing team is the group that buys those things. And there's always opportunity for that, for more inclusion with that type of purchase.
Well, we definitely will do that. My second question is, so obviously you listed and shared some of the organizations surrounding Cincinnati that you
Yes.
collaborate with. Obviously, WeBack ORV being one of them. WeBack has an MOU with NAWBO, the National Association of Women Business Owners Columbus. So I was also looking and seeing, how do other organizations collaborate with you? So I was, unless it was just, I just completely glossed over it. I saw like the Asian American community, business community was not represented. So how do they reach out and say, hey, we would love to collaborate with the port?
Yeah, if they do, we certainly would be happy to collaborate with them. We haven't seen, for example, all of the major economic development organizations in Cincinnati are in one building. So, for example, I know that the Asian American Chamber of Commerce and the Chinese Chamber of Commerce share space with the regional chamber, which is just a floor below us. So when there are opportunities for us to collaborate or work together, we do that as an economic development partner. But the ones we listed are the ones that typically have some sort of direct connection with us in either contracting or real estate development.
Is there anything where you have collaboration with ECDI by any chance?
We would work with ECDI, for example, if a developer needed gap funding or primary funding on a project.
Okay. Okay. Well, I happen to sit on the host committee for Catch the Wave, and well, really the subcommittee for resources. That's why I was trying to figure out how we could, plug in and make connections. So thank you so much. Great presentation, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Are there any other questions? All right, hearing none, I just want to share a couple of things with all of you. While I'm pulling that up, first and foremost, I want to say, Jilson, thank you again for your time with us today, as well as your commitment, of course, to ORV and to and the port's commitment to ORV as well. So we are definitely appreciative of all that you do and all that your organization does with our organization. I want to share a couple of upcoming events that we have. Before I do that, let me share my screen. I'm going to pull up a QR code. This is not in presentation mode, but I'm going to pull up a QR code that you can scan. If you can go ahead, if you're not on your phone, and scan that QR code and provide us with a little bit of feedback surrounding the workshop today. I'm saying the service today, the workshop today. We can't get better without your feedback. So we appreciate in advance you taking that time to do that. And then while you are doing that, I want to talk about some of our upcoming events that we have. First, I want to mention on August the 7th, it's hard to believe we're talking about August already, but on August the 7th, we have the ORV State of Ohio quarterly update. And so you'll, if you're interested, you can definitely tune into that. And then on the 13th, for those who may be newly certified, or if you know somebody who's newly certified, every month we have our newly certified WBE onboarding workshop. And so that's a great opportunity for new WBs, as well as maybe some WBs who haven't been as active, to find out some of the best ways to leverage their certification. And then instead of just sharing about Catch the Wave, I actually want to pull up our website, and I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. If you are not already registered for Catch the Wave, you definitely want to get registered for Catch the Wave. We are only 33 days, 3 hours, 42 minutes, and 57 seconds away from Catch the Wave. So I know some of you, Becky and Zulene, we appreciate all the hard work that the two of you have done working alongside our committee, the various committees, with getting Catch the Wave up and running. So I'm going to drop the link into the chat for Catch the Wave for those who may be watching who have not already registered. Early bird registration does end the end of this month on the 31st. So the price will go up beginning August 1st. We do have limited sponsorship available, spots still available. So if you're interested in jumping on board and being a sponsor, we do have the opportunity to do that as well. If you're not interested in being a sponsor, that's fine. Come on out with us and have a great time. We've got some really, really great, exciting things in store. If you watch our website, you'll get more information. The agenda is on there. Speakers will be posted by next week. I'm excited because we're getting ready to leak our keynote speakers as well as our fireside chat speakers. So we've got some really, really great information that's getting ready to come down the pike. So stay tuned to your newsletter, to your email, to our social media page, especially if you're on LinkedIn. You can always find information about what we're doing for Catch the Wave. So are there any questions? And like I said, I'm going to drop this link into the chat as well. Are there any questions?
So Jilson, I've seen you at our Catch the Wave before. Will we
Yeah.
see you next month?
Yes, you will. We're a silver sponsor, so I'll be there.
Great. Looking forward to
He's
seeing you
already
there.
registered, I believe. So
Yes.
his spot is secure. Awesome. Jennifer, awesome. She says, no questions, but looking forward to meeting everyone at Catch the Wave. I will also do a plug. If this is your first time attending Catch the Wave, we do have a conference buddy program, which is a really great opportunity for first time attendees, not even just WBEs, but attendees. When you're doing your registration, Jennifer says she requested a buddy. Awesome. So when you're doing your registration, there's a box there where you can check that you want to have a buddy. Or if you're existing WBE, you can check to say that you want to be a buddy. So a really great opportunity to connect with WBEs before you even get to the conference. You have the opportunity to meet virtually, or if you're nearby, you might want to meet for coffee or whatever the case may be. But it's always great to already know somebody in the room. Looks like Alexa says that she's registered and is looking for a buddy too. So buddy assignments will be going out probably the week before the conference. So week or two before the conference. So check your emails for those. Those buddy assignments will be coming out soon. I can't believe we're 33 days away from Catch the Wave. It's right around the corner. Right around the corner. So
Alexis and Jennifer, you're going to be seeing Zulene and myself at the conference. We're on that host committee. Feel free to reach out to us before or find us. You'll be well taken care of with your buddy, but you can also grab us anytime.
Awesome. Thank you both to you, Becky and Zulene. Well, if nobody else has anything else, I will give you about 10 minutes back of your day. Thank you so much for your participation and for joining us today. And we're excited to see you at our next event. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Wilson.
Bye-bye.
Bye.